if you want to go ahead and get seated, that'd be great so we can get started on time. I'd like to welcome you to this week's Candidate Coffee with our candidates for Ward 3 City Council. We've got Katherine O'Callaghan, Jody Stutzman, and Maggie Esch. We'd like to welcome the candidates and all of you attending today, and thank you for joining us. Our event today is sponsored by Troy Davis and Roast Coffee, so we thank Troy for getting us all caffeinated each of these Friday mornings. We appreciate having great opportunities and options for election seats. You don't always see multiple candidates. So we at the Chamber, we're very excited to bring these opportunities along with many other that are happening prior to the primary election. These questions today are brought by the Chamber, HEDC, Government Affairs Committee, and the staff of these organizations. And we've prepared several that we're going to have each candidate answer. And following those prepared questions, we hope you stay and have some coffee and network with these candidates and ask them the things that are more important to you individually. So to help this run smoothly today, we do have a few ground rules that we would ask participants to follow. Please turn your phones to silent. If you need to take a call, please step outside to do that so that we can continue with our program. And we also ask that attendees refrain from conversation while our moderator and candidates are speaking. We want to be respectful and productive with our time today. I'd like to introduce you to Chris Shukai. He's going to moderate for us today.
Thank you very much, Shannon. Welcome this morning. As mentioned, a series of questions have been prepared. We will rotate which candidate answers first with each question. We're sticking to 2 minutes, or we're moving to...
We're going to follow our timing and
okay.
where we're at, but we may extend some time at the end for a little greater length with your closing statements.
Jamie is your timekeeper, though, so watch her for cards. She has a yellow card. That means 15 seconds, and a red card. That means time is up, and I will interrupt you as politely as possible as the red card goes up if you continue to talk. So watch Jamie for those. And again, we will rotate through all of those, and we will get started this morning. Katherine, we will start with you on this first question. Please introduce yourself to the audience and tell us what previous community involvement you have had in Hastings.
Hello, I'm Katherine O'Callaghan. I am a small business owner. I'm your average Jane. I've been a coach, I've been a sister, I've been a mother, I've been the typical Jane in town. I'm not involved in any community boards or groups or anything. But again, a lot of people in town know me as a small business owner, and I'm here for common sense.
Thank you. Jody, you're next. Please introduce yourself to the audience and tell us what previous community involvement you have had in Hastings.
I first want to thank the sponsors of this event and the other candidates and everyone in the office, in the room here. My name is Jody Stutzman. I graduated from Hastings College with a sociology degree with an emphasis in political science. And then in 2020, I obtained a master's in business administration with an emphasis in strategic management. I'm currently a commissioner on the Hastings Planning and Zoning Commission, a graduate of Leadership Hastings, and a Leadership Hastings board member. I was chair of the YWCA of Adams County during their capital campaign for their building located on West 2nd Street. People might know my dog more than they know me. For over 5 years, we volunteered at the Hastings Public Library once a month, where children were able to read to him in a non-threatening environment. I've also spent a lot of time volunteering with nonprofits. I've been on national and regional boards. In fact, I was the only one in the Midwest selected as a delegate to the United Nations status on the Commission of Women in New York City. So community involvement is really important to me.
Thank you very much. And Maggie, please introduce yourself to the audience and tell us what previous community involvement you have had in Hastings.
Hi everyone, thanks all for being here today. My name is Maggie Esch. I am a proud townie, as I like to call myself, born and raised in Hastings. I graduated from Hastings Public and graduated from Hastings College. My husband was actually born and raised in the Hastings community as well. We absolutely love it here. I have held a variety of leadership roles within the community. First started out of college with Hastings Economic Development, where I led the talent initiative. I was also interim director for 1 year. I most recently was with Central Community College while I was the Entrepreneurship Center Director, helped locals start businesses within the community. And then when it comes to most recently, as of January, I'm now full-time small business owner. My husband and I own and operate my family printing company, Vaughn's Printing Company. I've held a variety of leadership roles within the community. I think at one point I was on like 13 boards, which is way too many. I recognize that. In 2020, I took a big step back as we started a family, and I am on less boards now, but still a huge advocate for the Hastings community. I guess my big things that people may know me for is I'm the Big Idea Hastings girl, so I've been doing that for the last 6 years, which we're transitioning that this year. So, but then I also was the Hastings Young Professionals Coordinator for 6 years. So. I've held a variety of leadership roles in the community. I'm still involved in Give Hastings Day, Do the Brew, and the Schnese 1906 District, which is a new co-working project and entrepreneurship center for the Hastings community. So I love Hastings. I'm very passionate about it, and I'm excited for what's to come.
Thank you very much. Jody, we'll start with you for question number 2 here. How do you see partnering with the proposed creative district to enhance Hastings, specifically the downtown area?
Yeah, so as a part of my job, I get the privilege of traveling to communities across the state and country, and I'm always amazed by the deep cultural roots that are highlighted within communities. And so I think it's really important for Hastings to embrace a creative district and highlighting the different cultures and art seen around the area. I grew up, my grandma was a well-known artist throughout the Midwest and instilled the importance of art and bringing people together. So it's really important as the creative district is being thought about to partner with organizations throughout the state, Nebraska Economic Development, Arts Council, and also getting community engagement. For the past, I think it was maybe 2-3 weeks ago, there was an event in downtown Hastings where community members could come together to brainstorm ideas and what they'd like to see in the downtown area. And I was amazed at all the different ideas that were proposed, and a lot of them were about highlighting things that were unique to Hastings, and so that's really important to me.
Thank you. Maggie, how do you see partnering with the proposed creative district to enhance Hastings, specifically the downtown area?
Yeah, absolutely. So I attended a similar event, the brainstorming event last night, and a lot of those sticky notes sitting on those tables said art. So I love that we have had individuals within the community that have been proactive about moving this creative district forward. It's not something that happens overnight by any means, but they, have really worked hard to get it to this point. I see as someone in City Council that we can be as supportive as possible as these projects come to Council. So I'm a huge proponent for art. I have traveled a lot, and some of my favorite communities are filled with art and just showcase creativity and vibrancy. And so this being, having the creative district within Hastings is going to put us in a better position as we move forward to have a more vibrant and welcoming community with art and other projects. So definitely a big advocate for that, and will be as supportive as possible of that if I am on City Council.
Thank you. And Katherine, how do you see partnering with the proposed creative district to enhance Hastings, specifically the downtown area?
Yes, art is beautiful, but I am going to point out if we don't stick to bringing middle class to Hastings, Nebraska, we are going to have an issue here where we won't be able to support art and things downtown. So partnering with them is a great idea, but we definitely need to think about how we can move forward to create a Hastings that we can grow and we can prosper off of and bring middle class here. 26% of our community in Hastings, Nebraska is going on homestead within the next 1 to 5 years. And that's a big problem when it comes to moving forward and getting tax money here. And if you want to talk about spending big tax money, we definitely need that middle class.
Okay, thank you very much. Maggie, we will start with you on this next question. The recent community survey identifies economic development, housing, transportation, and communication as top priorities for the city. What are your ideas for addressing those?
Yeah, absolutely. So when it comes to economic development is incredibly important for the Hastings community and how we choose to move forward, right? So as someone on city council or just a regular citizen in the community, we know the importance of housing. And we've talked a lot about affordable housing, however you define that, still to be determined, but having quality housing available within the community. I know that a lot of things, every housing project comes to the city. I will always be a proponent for more housing, whatever that looks like, because we definitely need it. If we're looking at growth for our community, population growth, which is something people talk a lot about, we have to have the housing to support that. So when it comes to transportation, communication, I think all of these things are important. They're all under the umbrella of economic development. I participate in conversations like this with a lot of people on a regular basis because they are so important to the community. I think it takes a lot of people coming together that have a deep passion for the community, that also understand how to get things done to tackle things like transportation and communication. I think we have made strides forward, especially from the city level, on communicating with residents within the Hastings community that are curious about what's going on. So I think that it takes a lot of key stakeholders getting together in combination with residents of the community that have great ideas for Hastings in order to enact really any change. And I've seen more of that happening. I'm excited about, as we move forward, more of those conversations happening. And I think we as citizens within the community really have to do our part too. Advocate to your city council people, advocate to economic development, the chamber, and also your city officials on how would you like to see forward? I'm not shy about expressing my opinion, so.
Thank you, Maggie.
Yeah.
Catherine, I'll repeat the question for you. The recent community survey identifies economic development, housing, transportation, and communication as top priorities for the city. What are your ideas for addressing those?
So pertaining to economic development, we have an issue where we don't like to bring in businesses for some reason, and a lot of them are afraid of retaliation, so a lot of them won't come to you, but I'm here to represent you as a business owner or you as a regular citizen that has to follow codes that are outrageous, and some of them are quite silly, and you have to bounce through all these hoops and loops to bring something here. If you want to bring something to Hastings, Nebraska and develop Hastings, Nebraska, we really need to understand how to do that. And how do we do that? We lower our regulations just a little bit so that we don't have to jump through all these hoops and loops to bring development, to bring restaurants, to bring places for our kids to play. And then pertaining to any of the other housing, City Council can't do much about housing. Transportation, yes, we can communicate that as we go along the process of City Council. And then communication, yes, we need communication. It's super important. We need to work as a team. We need to be leaders here. We need to have common sense. We need to have integrity. Everybody should be able to come to our meetings. Everybody should be able to speak at our meetings, and everybody should know what's going on. We need transparency.
Thank you very much. Jody, recent community survey identifies economic development, housing, transportation, and communication as top priorities for the city. Your ideas for addressing those?
For the last 12 years, I've worked in workforce development and have supervised staff across the state. That's including meetings at a state level with economic development officials and workforce development officials. I think all of these things are important to proceed together. For example, economic development, we really need to look at how we want to grow and how we can differ ourselves from the communities that surround us. So I think that's really identifying niche markets that other communities don't have. I talk to so many people through my travels that come to Hastings just to go to Odyssey. Just identifying places like that. Also, Heartland Renewables was a huge win for our city. So identifying other bioeconomy industries is incredibly important. Housing, I often work with low-income individuals, so I see on that level where there's not enough housing in that market. So I'm really happy to see any type of housing in Hastings. For example, if there's $400,000 houses being built, those people are moving into those houses and freeing up maybe the $200,000 market and so on. If we looked just right across the street, the senior housing that's being built, individuals are moving out of their homes into those places. So any type of housing that we can work towards is good in my opinion. As a commissioner on the Planning and Zoning Commission, we see that come to us all the time about different types of regulations. So I think identifying areas that maybe could loosen up regulation to include multifamily housing or ADUs in certain districts is a good thing.
Thank you very much. Katherine, we'll start with you on this next question. Collaboration is important to seeing growth and success. What is your strategy to encourage collaboration and partnerships as we look to grow Hastings?
First off, in order to be able to move forward in collaborating with anybody, we need to get our city council back. We currently are in a situation where our city council does not have control anymore, which means the people do not have control anymore. And that's a problem, especially for small businesses and all of these, the codes that I was speaking of earlier. People are so afraid to come to city council meetings, and they're so afraid to come and speak in front of the city council because they are afraid of retaliation. And that being a problem, we can't move forward with any growth or development in Hastings, Nebraska, if we don't have that middle class and we don't have move forward with creating a good environment that people can come to you and speak. That's all.
Thank you very much. Jody, what is your strategy to encourage collaboration and partnerships as we look to grow Hastings?
So my job, I work for a U.S. Department of Labor grant, and we're given a certain amount of money each year, and we can't go over that amount. So what I do is work really hard on collaboration to utilize our funds and make them go longer and help more people. So definitely collaboration with our state legislator. I think the biggest thing is for people in Lincoln to know who we are. I also think that the city has a great relationship with the Chamber of Commerce and HEDC. They're the ones that are actually on the ground doing things, meeting with the potential developers and just highlighting our city. So I think that's really important. Also, workforce development is huge to me, so collaboration with the workforce, whether that's the Nebraska Department of Labor, the community college, times are changing, industries are changing, and so the partnership with the college is important to identify training needs so we can have a skilled workforce. And of course, collaboration with the members of our community. I've been going out, walking through neighborhoods, talking with people on their front door, and I think that's the biggest thing. Not everyone can come to city council meetings. not everyone wants to stand in the podium in front of everyone, and so making sure that that you're doing the most you can as an individual. Accountability with collaboration starts with you, and it starts with me, and so that's just what I've seen as an example with all of the staff I supervise, collaboration to make dollars go further.
Thank you very much. And Maggie, your strategy to encourage collaboration and partnerships to grow Hastings.
Yeah. So collaboration is obviously very important as we move forward as a community. We need as many people together from all different walks of life that represent different boards or areas within our community. We need to create opportunities to bring people together so that first and foremost we know what people want. We are seeing things like that happening, especially with the primary coming up. I think there's a lot more dialogue happening within citizens within the community. But what it really comes down to is creating those opportunities for people to collaborate and express their opinions. I'm a huge advocate for small business development. I'm a huge advocate for talent and workforce development. I'm a huge advocate for business growth within our community. Hastings is We've seen a lot of good change, especially since I graduated from high school in 2012. I mean, there's been significant growth within our community. It's a much more vibrant community than it used to be, and the downtown revitalization has been huge to the reason why we love Hastings so much. And those big projects wouldn't have happened without collaboration and ongoing communication. I think we're in this new chapter of Hastings where we are open and willing to listen to people. And as a city council member, our responsibility is if somebody in our ward comes to us, we have to be able to go talk to the city or talk to economic development or the chamber about concerns or ideas or whatever that may be. So my biggest thing is just creating those opportunities that gives people a platform to express their ideas, and so then we can bring something to fruition. There's a lot of good things going on in our community, but we have to continue the momentum and we have to continue to move forward.
Thank you very much. Jody, we'll start with you for this next question. From the entrance to Hastings to traffic flow, including Burlington and downtown, what is your vision for projects that should be initiated for Ward 3?
I hope I'm not the only one this has happened to, but I've traveled across the state and been to communities I've never heard of, and then I never know if I'm actually in the community. There's never a sign that says, welcome to such and such community. And so as people are coming to our community, especially from the north, I think it's important to have a sign, at least welcoming people, a sign that's not so far into the city. And where the current sign is, it just shows how much our city has grown since that sign was placed. Also, I think in the last 10 years, I ran maybe 20,000 miles through the neighborhoods in the city, so I know every cracked sidewalk, every place that I might get hit by a car. And so I know this question is about traffic flow, but I think something else that makes cities a place where people want to be is walkability. Not everyone in our community has vehicles to get to work. So when I think about that one example downtown, if you're running or walking, there's not a little person on Colorado telling you you can walk across the street. You have to kind of look back and up at the light to see, and then you just have to run really fast to make sure that you beat all the cars. So I think also some of the projects for Ward 3, just like Maggie mentioned, the brainstorming session, I think there's a lot of cool projects just running through people's minds, just even temporary projects to utilize vacant spaces like parking lots that aren't utilized in the evening. So those are some of the projects I'm excited about.
Thank you. Maggie, your vision for projects initiated for Ward 3.
Yeah, to add on to what Jody said about the entrance of Hastings, I definitely agree. We could have something that's a little bit more welcoming, like you have arrived in Hastings. Thank you for being here, whatever that may be. I'd love to see something like that within the north side of Hastings in Ward 3. When it comes to the rest of Ward 3, we're quite fortunate in some of the existing projects and development we've seen within our 3 major areas. And but I love, again, to kind of what Jody said, all of these ideas about building temporary spaces in our downtown and underutilized areas with as little money as possible. I love that. It brings a sense of community to our downtown, and it also, I think, could really turn into allowing better walkability. I can't talk about traffic flow in downtown Hastings. I think everybody gets confused with the one-ways if you're not familiar with it. But I do think that there's a lot of, great things in the works right now when it comes to enhancing the areas within Ward 3. And I'll continue to be a part of those sessions, those brainstorming, and also always, open to ideas and hearing what other people's ideas are for those areas.
Thank you. Katherine, your vision for projects for Ward 3.
Traffic-wise, I'm no traffic expert, but I would take an expert's opinion on it. When it comes to the flow of traffic, I think it takes about 7 minutes to get from point A to point B, north to south in Hastings, Nebraska, which is nice because most cities you're talking long distance with lights and traffic flow. Pertaining to any of the other traffic situations, downtown is frustrating because you never know which way you're going. I have almost been hit head on by someone driving the wrong way, and it's pretty common. And maybe we can look at something in the downtown area to see if we can evaluate something to, like I said, I'm no traffic expert, but we could collaborate and figure out something that makes traffic flow easier and better in downtown or in areas that there is a lot of traffic. I can get my kids to school within 7 minutes, and I think that's really, really great. Overall, I think our traffic isn't terrible. Just being in bigger cities, I've been in and I've sat in lines of cars for hours, and like I said, I'm no traffic expert.
Thank you very much. Our final question, Maggie, we'll start with you on this one, and to conclude our time together, what more would you like the audience to know about you as a candidate for Ward 3 City Council?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am incredibly passionate about the Hastings community. I have, no matter what role I've been in, Hastings is home for us. Hastings is the place we choose to be, and Hastings is the place I'm going to be the rest of my life. I'm very confident in that. So I care so much about how we move together as a community, and that's not just me or you, that's all of us working together. I think in combination with my passion and my past leadership roles, my small business expertise, as well as just being the advocate for the Hastings community, I would make a really fantastic fit for City Council. I understand how things have been done. I understand how they work. I also understand some of the frustrations, and I think that we can. I think we can resolve those. I really do, with a few quick conversations. And so I'm really excited just having the opportunity to represent Ward 3. Again, this is the place that me and my family, we love. We're raising our 2 littles here, and we hope they love it as much as we do, but it matters right now what we are doing and who are in these seats and in the key leadership roles in our community, because that's going to set our community up for my kids when they're my age. So I'm incredibly passionate about Hastings. I love the Hastings community, and I'm always going to be a positive advocate for it, but also recognizing there's always room for improvement, and I'm a good person to if you have an issue, I'm happy to go talk to the person that could help resolve that issue. So I definitely want to be proactive and move Hastings forward and make it as great of a community as it can possibly be.
Thank you very much. Katherine, what more would you like the audience to know about you as a candidate?
I want to give Hastings hope. I want to give Hastings integrity. I want to give Hastings transparency. I want everybody to be able to spend their tax money wisely, and I want everybody to have the opportunity to know that I'm here to listen to your voice. I'm here to stand up for you and what's right and the common sense of Hastings, Nebraska. And if you come to me with issues, I'll be sure to be there to stand up and tell people about the situation. I've had multiple business owner friends that are so afraid to come to city council meetings and so afraid of retaliation. And like I said, that this is a problem. Bringing middle class to Hastings is what I'm here for, and I would love to see Hastings grow, as I have kids as well, and I have a family here, and I love Hastings, and I don't want it to end up like Juniata.
Thank you. And Jody, what more would you like the audience to know about you as a candidate?
With my job, I've had the opportunity to move anywhere across the state and actually the country, and I choose to stay here. I love Hastings. I grew up in Hastings. Something more about me is that with my work, I work for a U.S. Department of Labor program that provides job training for agricultural workers, migrant and seasonal farm workers. And so for the past 12 years, I've worked with diverse populations, bringing low-income individuals with numerous barriers, providing them with training, and then linking them with employers across the state. I think that's really important to bring people together and to understand the needs of all residents in the community. My master's degree had a focus in strategic management, and so I've learned through that, and with my leadership role in the organization that I work for, you cannot look at today, you can't look at yesterday, you need to look forward, not forward to next week, but look forward to the next year, the next 5 years, and think about how the decisions you make today will affect people in the future. Something else people know about me that are my friends, hard work is incredibly important to me. When I went back to school to get my master's, I thought in June of 2020 that we really wouldn't be all that busy. I mean, it was COVID, and so I thought, well, I'll go back to school. I finished my master's degree in a year while working full-time and training and running a couple 50-mile races. And so I do know how to prioritize my time to make sure that I'm giving my best to everyone that I serve.
Thank you very much. Thanks to all of you for joining us this morning. I'll give it back to Shannon.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, candidates. Y'all did a wonderful job. I think that we can see the effort you're putting into the race, and we appreciate that. And I love seeing your passion for the community. Also, we'd like to invite you to join us next Friday, April 19th, for our candidate coffee event with our candidates for Ward 4. And we're also excited to announce that we have confirmed dates for the District 33 candidates on April 26th, as well as Adams County Supervisors District 2 on May 3rd, and Adams County Supervisors Districts 4 and 6 candidates on May 10. So lots of information and research you can gather prior to those primary voting dates. Thank you to the airport for this beautiful venue. We're so lucky to have it here. It serves this purpose perfectly. Again, thanks Troy for caffeinating us on our Friday morning. Chris, wonderful job as always. Thank you. And also, just a quick reminder, if you know of others that were not able to join us today, the event was recorded by Hastings Public Access and will be made available shortly. So again, continue to engage our candidates here or otherwise in this process. And don't forget that early voting begins April 15th already, and primary election date is May 14th. So again, thanks all and have a wonderful Friday.